1440 WJOL, and we are here. It is Get Real with Eddie, with Terry Trotter early as my co-host for the day, NMLS 579177. Terry, how are you?
Doing great, and so happy to be here on your first solo show. Independent show,
yes. So thank you to Tim Kerfin once again from House Talk and Kerfin Inspections. We were hosting for them, but we wanted to step it up and bring you more real estate and more specific real estate information every week. So we will be here every Wednesday, 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, addressing real estate questions. And you can get us questions at getrealwitheddie.com.
Nice.
So you can send us messages and check out information at getrealwitheddie.com. And we have that all set up and ready to go. And we're going to be building that page out. We'll have our sponsors up on that page as we get them. So they're coming in slowly but surely, and we're working on it. So this is going to be a growth and a work in progress for the next couple weeks. But we'll make it work, and we'll see where it goes, and it should be a great show.
Oh, it will be.
Absolutely. So we got a lot of thank yous. Matter of fact, Tim called me after our final show with Tim, and he thanked us for everything.
Oh, that's
great. I meant
great
to tell you that, and I didn't get a chance to tell you off air, but we're going to get right into it with our first article coming out of a Realtor magazine. This came out yesterday on the 29th. It was written on the 24th. Home prices are rising rapidly again. Low mortgage rates may be getting offset by higher prices. Single-family homes, condos sold for a median price of $270,000 in the third quarter, up 8.3% from a year ago. A new high, a newly reported released from a new report released from Adam Data Solutions. So we've talked about this, back on House Talk, that we're going to start seeing these numbers push higher. And there's a high chance, even with this nasty snow we have on the ground today, which I'm sorry, I am a fan of snow. I will take snow over cold rain any day of the week, but not before trick-or-treating.
I know. My heart's breaking for all the kids.
My wife called right before we went on. It looks like Sherwood is moving their stuff till Saturday. So I will say, and Joliet may move. So folks, double check with your local communities and your local areas. Find out if they are moving trick-or-treating, because they're talking 3 inches tomorrow. And look, I am one of those, Halloween should be on October 31st as much as possible. But when you're talking 3 inches of snow and cold rain, guess what? There's going to be plows out, and that can get dangerous for the kids. And now we're talking a safety issue, not of, hey, let's just move it to the weekend on Saturday where it's easy.
Right.
I'm sorry. I guess I'm just very traditional. I like it on Halloween. I like it on October 31st.
Yeah, but now you're a dad.
Now I'm a dad.
And safety matters.
Safety matters, yes, exactly. And, safety would have mattered even beforehand. I'm a realist. Let's be honest.
True, but yeah.
But
it's different when it's your own little one walking down that.
Even with the snow, there is a good chance we're going to see a busier fourth quarter in real estate.
Oh, for sure.
Than we saw this spring quarter. And I have so many people tell me, I'm going to wait to put my house up on the market because into the spring. It's a 5% difference in closed volume.
Which is negligible.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking 5%, so 5% more houses close in the spring market, all right, in the busier quarter than in what's known as the slow quarter, the December quarter.
And I think that this time of the year, we've talked about this numerous times, but it's so true. If someone's going out in this weather, they're serious. They're not messing around. They need to buy. They
need to buy. They aren't messing around. And what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing, I think, people selling in this quarter getting higher prices and higher appreciation amounts because of the fact there is such a shortage in inventory. I mean, we don't have builders cranking out homes at a high rate. They're still they're trying to get them out there. You'll see a builder, put 20 or 30 into the MLS, but that doesn't mean they're ready to go.
Right.
That means that, okay, here's what we got
For
coming.
my lots that I have available that I can build on.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the plans that are going to go on the lot. Here's a, photoshopped image, and we all see them online.
Right.
But they have, because of the labor shortage, and we don't have enough people able to swing hammers to get these built, you're going to see these prices continue to go up.
And the idea, if I'm a seller and I'm thinking, oh, but I've got the holidays, I've got Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I've got all these things. I mean, we've had conversations. I mean, explain why Christmas and the holidays is the perfect time to sell your house.
When does your house look better? I mean, Norman Rockwell is one of my favorite painters.
Yeah.
Okay. And because he captures the human experience. It also has to do with my mom owned a house, and there was this wallpaper was all these Norman Rockwell paintings.
Oh.
And then there was an explanation of the painting. And this was in the bathroom. So we always joked you didn't have to take a newspaper to that bathroom.
You just read the wall.
This was before they had, your phone, where you just read everything on your phone when you're in the bathroom. Folks, you should see the look on Terry's face right now after I said that. You do know that they say your cell phone is worse than the peanuts at a bar nowadays, right?
Oh.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh.
Yes. But you think about it, it's that Norman Rockwell image. The ground's covered in snow. You got Christmas lights, the trees well decorated, presents under the tree. How do you not sell a house with that image? It is like the perfect home feel vibe. Your house is so well decorated. It's ready to show. Okay. Yeah. You got to make sure the driveway's shoveled. You got to make sure the sidewalks are shoveled. There's some extra steps.
But honestly, don't you think that the majority of the people are doing that anyway for their own safety?
This is true.
I mean, you got to be able to walk.
And then you get into the aspect no one wants to move in December or January. But yet people do it every year.
Oh.
They are doing it. That's the point
I would think making. Like lots of people transferring in at that time for school systems, that would be the time if I was moving that you would want to do that.
Break?
Yeah, because that's a logical break.
Absolutely.
To do something new.
Completely logical break, and it makes absolute sense. So
if you're out there and you're thinking, I want to sell my house, don't hesitate.
No.
Don't be afraid of that.
No, because honestly, I do think you're going to I think honestly right now, this quarter, you got a chance of getting more money for your house than you will going into 2020.
Now, Eddie, and I should have this memorized because I've heard this 5 million times. I know you've got a website that gets a quick home values. If I'm curious, what is it again?
Eddie'sQuickHouseValue.com.
See, I should have known that.
Yeah, so you can go there and you can get a quick estimate of what your property's worth on that page in seconds. You'll get 3 different estimates, and then usually we try to follow up with something where I overview and review everything. I'm not a big fan of these online estimates, but at least it gives you a mark and somewhere to start.
It gives you information, and if you're out there and you're like, man, what is my house worth? You go on to Eddie'sQuickValues.com, you get this number and you're like, ooh, that might work. Then you can follow up and call Eddie and get a more personalized opinion.
Absolutely. So since it's our first show with Get Real with Eddie, we always did local markup updates. We used to do 2 communities, but I want to narrow it down and do more in depth. So we're going to look, and since it's our very first show, I thought it's WJOL, Will County's News Talk Sports. I think we need to look at Will County to start off with as a whole.
Perfect.
And so Will County, we're going to start off. They are up 6.1% in new listings, up 5.6% in closed sales, and up 1.2% in inventory. When you're looking at detached housing, you have a 3% increase in new listings month over month, 5.6% under contract month over month, closed sales up 3.8%. And here is the number everybody likes to hear. Well, the 2 numbers, the median and the average. I think everybody's going to like the average better on this. 248,000 up 3.3% on the median sales price. The average month over month, $271,860. That's up 2.7% on the average. They are getting 96.1% of list price. That is up 0.5%. Average market time up 60 is at 64 days. That is up 3.2%. Now keep that in mind. The average market time last year was 62 days.
So again, 2 days. That's pretty. That's not really a big deal.
It looks like, oh my God, it's up 3.2%. It's 2 days. It's because the number is so low. So inventory, actually, and here's an interesting number. We talked about this month over month. Inventory is down 2.5% from last year.
Which we've talked about. I feel like we've been saying that for a long time, like a few years, but we're still low.
It's only been a couple months that we've been talking about inventory. I think at the beginning of this year on how low inventory's been.
Yeah.
So, this is why going back to the previous article we just talked about, I really think you're going to get a better chance of getting more money, because I do think all of the pricing aspects are going to push people to put their house in the market in the spring. And then as supply increases, price does decrease when you just look at supply and demand. Trailing 12 on detached is 5.6% is up in new listings. We are dead even, 0% change in under contract. Closed sales down 2%. Again, the trailing 12, 250,000 on the median, 272, 288 on the average sales price. That is a 2.5% increase on the average sales price. The percent of original list price received is 96.1%, down 0.1%. So it looks like we're starting to see a little negotiation room in the trailing 12 months. Average market time is 73 days, and that is a 2.8% increase, up from 71 days. So again, a 2-day change in the trailing 12. So I'm going to just do the trailing 12 because we're going to coming up to a hard break here. On attached, the trailing 12 is up. New listings 9.4%, down 7% on under contract. Closed is at 5.2%. Median sales price on attached in Will County is $179,000. The average is $188,381. That is up 4%. The percent of original list price received is 96.8%. That is down 3%. The average market time is 48 days. So that is up 9.1%, which seems high, but it's a 44. Originally was 44 last year at this time. So in the trailing 12, it's really not that bad. So we're coming up to a break here, folks. Just to let you know, coming up after the break, we are going to talk about no more single family zoning. And I know this has got Terry freaking out.
It does.
After the break, no single family zoning for a major town, major city, actually. So stick around here, 1340 WJOL. 1340 WJOL. It's Get Real with Eddie Ruettiger from the Baird and Warner, here along with Terry Trotter Early from the Federal Savings Bank, bringing you all the real estate information and news you need to know about, because it is your biggest investment that you make in your lifetime for most people. I mean, there's a few exceptions. I mean, if you're starting a business or anything, but I mean, honestly, it's one of the biggest is your home and where you live.
Absolutely.
So, Minneapolis officially nixes single family zoning.
Yeah.
And Terry is nodding her head no. She is not a fan of this. And there was a couple people I was here early since it was our first show. I'm not going to say who or what, but they're like, oh, no, I wouldn't like that either. I was talking to some individuals.
Not the only one.
You're not the only one. And I think you would be the normal response on the market. But I understand where Minneapolis is coming from.
Well, it's difficult because I guess I'm coming more from a rural standpoint versus a metropolitan standpoint. Maybe like in the city, like in New York City or Chicago, they don't really care because they're going to do condos and high rises and all kinds of things. But yeah, no.
All right. Edward Goetz, director of, am I saying that correctly? Goetz, director of the Center of Urban and Regional Affairs at University of Minnesota, told WCCO News Talk that Minneapolis was a symbolic move. I don't think personally there's going to be a huge change in these parts of Minneapolis. Southwest Minneapolis is going to be dominantly single-family homes. The changes are not going to be that dramatic, but there is a symbol step, and there's a symbolic, I can't say that word today.
Symbolic,
thank you. Value. It's always great when you can't talk on the radio. According to those who have put forward. So the idea behind this, folks, is we're talking on inventory shortage.
Right.
And we're talking about the housing, there's not enough stuff to sell. And you get into these cities and things. Okay, everybody wants single family. True, yes, kind of. You're seeing a move with some of the younger generations, the millennial generations, not necessarily wanting a single family. And that is the argument. Instead of giving more multi-zoning, more attached, either condos, duplexes, especially with millennials and even baby boomers looking for stuff that are more maintenance-free properties, where there's an HOA doing lawn service, snow service, any kind of outside maintenance on the house, and cleaning gutters, things like that. You're not seeing it. Will County is over 70% single-family homes.
And I do see, I understand here, and we've talked about that quite a bit, that 150 to 180 price range for them to get something new, and that's those millennials or those first-time homebuyers. There is a need for that here, for sure.
Yes.
I'm not saying that. But what bothers me is when they completely ban one choice. That's what bothers me.
Well, they didn't, but that's the thing. That I think you're mistaking the article. They're not saying they banned single-family zoning. You can still build a single-family house.
They have done away with single-family zoning.
Single-family zoning, which means
for new
you could build whatever you want. You could build a single-family. So if I took a 5-acre parcel, I could have one house be a single-family house, one house be a duplex, one house be a apartment building, and one building be a 5 townhomes, all in the same neighborhood. Now, most developers aren't going to develop a property that way.
That is an appraisal nightmare.
I'm not arguing that. I think but this is to encourage more mixed use. And I do think there's a demand for more of a mixed use in this, but instead of them controlling the zoning to protect already pre-existing housing, they just thought I think they're kind of washing their hands from it. It
was interesting. This article did have insight to the one sole no vote, who was council member Lena Palmisino.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that she highlighted that the measure could radically change the character of neighborhoods. Minneapolis is leading the nation in a fight to create affordable housing, and they're trying to push back on intentional segregation. But she was saying that she believes that the measure benefits developers who want to swoop into neighborhoods and build triplexes. So it's interesting to kind of figure out where, at least she feels, that motivation's coming from. Is it really from a lack of housing, or is it from developers pushing to get more?
Two things can be true at the same time.
So I have heard.
Yes. So honestly, two things could be true at the same time. It could be that, from the municipality standpoint, they want to get more affordable housing. And that word affordable housing, I think, is part of the problem. Because most people hear the word affordable and they think low income. And that's not what it is. It's obtainable housing. It's housing. Honestly, you look at the starting salary for a teacher is what, $35,000, maybe 40?
Yeah, I think 40.
Okay, so there's an old rule with that. All right, and you hate this rule. The real estate agents, we use it. Take the income, multiply it by 3. That's probably what they're going to qualify around roughly. Okay, So if that's 40,000, I times that by 3. Guess what? They probably can afford a $120,000 house. All right. It's, one of those myths. It's not 100%, but it gives me a ballpark place to start. At $40,000, there's right now, I cannot go find anything realistically for $120,000 in our marketplace, even in a condo. I mean, there is just a shortage. There's a couple condos at $130,000 that we could look at, but it's going to be really, really tight. And the only way you're going to truly address the issue is if you can increase supply. And I think it's an interesting take. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in that market, and definitely something we're going to keep our eye on. So moving forward, do you know a buyer? So we're going to do a new segment since it's a brand new show, and we're going to talk about some actual properties that are live and up for sale. The first one, of course, is a listing of my own at 2937 Woodside Drive in Joliet. This is a townhome complex. They are listed at $190,000, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. And it's a very unique end unit, which is pretty cool because you have an upstairs unit. The way this was originally designed was there was an upstairs space with 2 bedrooms and a lower space. Well, the homeowner came in, did some modifications, and now it's actually a 3-bedroom.
Oh.
So you have 2 bedrooms up, and then the lower level could be used as a giant master with a master bathroom there. And then the upstairs, you have a shared master on what was originally the original master bedroom. So you have some options on using this as in different ways. The other aspect that you can look at is using it as like a great room in the basement.
Yeah.
So if you know a buyer, because the inventory is so short, give us a call at Baird Warner, 815-823-5478, and we can get you set up to get you into that property. I love the black appliances in this. I think as someone that now has stainless steel, I'm really, really starting to think, I wish I would have just got black appliances because they're so hard to take care of.
Yeah. It looks like a great unit. I think that price point is great, as we talked about, for those first-time home buyers or even families as well, who are first-time home buyers as well. Just looks like a great property.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice property. You do have a 2-car garage. Low maintenance, as like we talked about, if you're looking for a property that's low maintenance.
Well, what does this homeowners association cover?
The HOA covers the common ground, snow care, lawn maintenance, things along those lines, everything on the exterior of the home. And it is FHA qualified because this is not a condo. This is a townhome, and yet there are no rentals allowed.
Perfect.
So if you're looking for investment property, this would not be for you. There's no rentals allowed.
But good to know that if you are an FHA buyer, this is a good option for you.
Yep. So we're going to go back to break, and coming back after our break, we're going to talk about the rental prices skyrocketing. And do you have to be told if a house is haunted?
Ooh.
Stick around. 1340 WJOL. Me, Eddie Ruettiger from Baird Warner. And, of course, with Terry Trotter early from the Federal Savings Bank, talking real estate. It's Get Real with Eddie. And we are just having a wonderful time here in the studio for our very first show.
It's flying by.
It is. We are almost done. We are down to our last 2 articles that I wanted to talk about. And that is, the first off, think prices have gone up. Let's look at the rents. So there's a lot of data coming out on the rent prices, and I know this is being addressed in different ways in different parts of the country. We've seen some people talk about rent control. We saw rent control get implemented in Washington, in Seattle. And it looks like, as of right now, from what I've seen some numbers and values dropping in Seattle. So I'm not a fan of rent control because it does not help the market. It actually hurts the market. But The Zillow, in its latest rent index, agreed that rents are continuing on an upward trend across the country, most of the country, that the trend is accelerating. The median U.S. rent grew by 2% year over year to $1,595 per month. National rent growth is faster than a year ago, while 46 of the 50 largest markets are showing deacceleration in annual home value growth. Annual rent growth is accelerating in 41 of the 50 largest markets. You know, I understand what they're trying to articulate here. Okay, well, rent prices are going up and they're accelerating, but home values are not going up
at the same rate.
At the same rate. They're slowing down. Home values are going up at a higher rate than 2%. But here's my question. Isn't inflation usually around 2%?
Typically.
So if I'm going to, as a landlord, make the same income every year, don't I have to raise my rent by 2%?
Well, logical, smart landlords will, but me, the landlord here, does not do that every year.
And I don't. I mean, I turned around and we just took a new tenant in. The last tenant, the new tenant is in at the exact same rate as the tenant from last year was. Now, last year, when that new tenant started, I did raise my rent.
Well, sure. I would say about every 2 years to 3 years we look, but we do it based on our costs.
Your costs.
Right. And so if my costs have increased, then I pass that along because I'm not, that's the homes.
And those costs that usually impact you the most to cause you to raise your rent would be, what would be some
taxes and insurance.
Taxes and insurance.
Yep. Those are big ones.
Those are the big ones. And that's the same thing for most landlords. So that's the true question, is in these areas, when we're talking the 41 of the 50 largest markets where rent growth is accelerating, how much has the taxes gone up?
Exactly.
How much has insurance gone up? I have really good friends and past clients that are, all of them, really, really big advocates for pit bulls. And they get upset when they find out a landlord won't take a pit bull.
Well, it's not the landlord. Our insurance company doesn't allow that. We won't be able to insure our property if we do that. And
that's the thing I try to explain to them. I go, I wouldn't mind. Well, you know, if the landlord accepts pets, okay, you know, so I did do a pet the first year. Now I've gone to no pets.
I still allow pets.
You do allow pets.
Yep.
See, mine's all hardwood on my one property.
We have some that are as well, but you know, sometimes pets are less damaged than kids sometimes.
That's true. So
just happens.
I mean, so when you're looking at the whole rental aspect of it, though, the insurance and the taxes, it's not the landlord sitting there twisting their mustache, you know, with the Monopoly bags. They're just trying. Most landlords are just homeowners and they only have a couple units. There's only a few that are big landlords with, they're probably 10 units or more, where this is all they do is rent. Most of them, they can't go long term. I know I can't go long term not having a renter in there. I need that rent coming in to be able to pay the mortgage payment.
Yep.
You know, we do have reserves and we plan for those vacancies, but you can't go long term with that.
Right.
And that's a big issue when you're looking at
as
this.
well. And maybe the $15.95 a month is more normal here. You know, in my area, our highest rent is $1,250, and that's for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath duplex, which is very nice.
Which is in Coal City.
Yep.
So let's be honest, give some relation. And I think $1,500 for a single family house is kind of normal to $2,000 in our market. If you're talking Joliet, Plainfield area, or the surrounding area here. I think as you go farther south, of course, your rents are going to get cheaper. Your prices get cheaper as you go farther south. The closer you get to the city of Chicago, the more you pay. You're basically paying for that privilege to live closer to the city. So if that's something you want or need, you know, maybe commute for a job or whatever the case may be, that is going to be a big impact on the property value, but it's also going to be a big impact on what your rent is. Mm-hmm. So Very interesting when they're looking at the national average rent. So most of yours are under
all of mine.
Under the $15.95.
Oh, yeah.
I'm under $15.95 also. And we've been looking at some other stuff shortly, but I haven't had a chance to really react on that. And I wouldn't, all those rents are, I think those are way under. I think the one building I was looking at the rents were under $1,000, and that was for a multi-building. So, but I do know like there's apartment complexes in the area. They're for the complex, just like an apartment, like you would think traditional apartment building. You walk in from the parking lot, they're between $900 to $1,200.
That's crazy
for an apartment. Yes, you're renting out houses for that price.
Yep.
So, all right. So tomorrow is Halloween. Whether we're going to get to trick or treat or not is another question.
What's little Eddie going to be?
Little Eddie is Thomas.
Oh,
so we found a Thomas costume, and it's really, really cute, and it's really nice because it's like a big, huge shirt that goes over the top of him. So we'll be able to put his coat underneath, and really wrap him up underneath. And
you plan for this lovely Illinois weather.
Seriously, since tomorrow we're supposed to get 3 inches of snow, I believe. As we said earlier when we were talking, it looks like Shorewood has moved their trick or treating already.
I'm in denial.
You're in denial?
Do you and Jeanette dress up?
Sometimes. So we usually will. Jeanette's dressing up for her job.
Okay.
So she'll be dressing up for her job, and I will be. I'll probably dress up. I have a bad habit of finding those pajamas.
Oh yeah.
So I usually buy them after Halloween because they're on sale. So like I have a Spider-Man one.
Nice.
That and we just had trick or treating. Not trick or treating, but we had a in our neighborhood. On Sunday, they do a big little parade, and all the kids come out and dress up, and we walk the neighborhood. So it's really awesome neighborhood. Yeah, it's really cool. And I was in the Spider-Man pajamas, and my wife was in she was a pirate.
Nice.
So yeah, so that was pretty cool. So, does Illinois License Act require the disclosure of a haunted house since tomorrow is Halloween? Terry, what do you think since you're not on my side? Do I have to tell you if the house is haunted?
Yes.
No, I do not.
Oh, come on now.
In Illinois, it is seen as a stigma. Stigmas are subject, and they do not have to be defined. So Betsy Urbance, who is the legal counsel for the state association, stigmas are subjective. What is a problem for one buyer might not be an issue for another buyer. Listing brokers and sellers of Illinois do not have a legal duty to disclose a stigma, such as the fact of a house was the site of a violent crime, it may be haunted, or anything along those issues. So a haunted house is not a stigma. However, that does not mean your buyers will not find out.
I would want to know.
Because the neighbors talk. Well, you might want to know. And there's a couple famous properties you can go on YouTube and search Joliet haunted houses. Like a haunted house, not like going to a haunted house.
Right, an actual house that's haunted.
Yeah, an actual house that's haunted. And I've showed the one in Joliet. We never made it up to the second floor.
You were that creepy?
There was something that was giving you the vibe of get out of the house right now.
Oh.
I'm not kidding. There is something that had a complete vibe. I know of a fellow real estate agent also. Her office is haunted, according to her. And when I went into her office to drop off an earnest money check, I'm like, all right, I got to ask. She goes, oh, yeah, it's haunted.
Friendly?
Yeah, little girl.
Okay.
A little child. It's from what she said. So, I mean, but here's the thing. It gets into a personal belief. Do you believe in hauntings or do you not?
Yeah, I don't know. I still want to know. I want to be able to make that decision myself.
I'm a Catholic boy, and I get it. So I believe in it because, I'm sorry, you watch any Halloween movie, they're calling a Catholic priest to do to get rid of the ghosts.
The exorcist, yes.
I'm just saying that's, so that's my personal belief. I completely do. But yeah, they do not have to disclose a haunted house. So that's a pretty interesting little fact there. What would be something else you think should be disclosed that you would want to know?
I'd want to know if there was a violent murder.
A violent murder?
Yeah.
And in today's society with Google, I think you should there's ways of disclosing it without having to put it on the market. You can have a conversation. I have conversations with my clients about this stuff all the time because, if there was a violent murder, let's be honest, odds are if it's happened recently, it's going to be online.
Yeah.
It is just going to be online. There was that shooting not too long ago in Joliet at the bar where the gentleman came in and shot the bartender. And unfortunately, that gentleman passed away. His house went up for sale. That was a kind of a big deal. Everybody knew, well, that was the guy that did it. It didn't happen at the house, but that was a kind of a big deal on that one. So I don't blame you. I think the death, any death in the house, comes into play, especially with some personal beliefs for some people.
I mean, personally, I think things that are natural, that's just parts of life, and that doesn't bother me as much. But it's more the violent.
Yeah,
things
the violent
that
things
bother me.
Yeah, understandable. So it's been amazing. Our first show, Get Real with Eddie, is done. If you guys want to follow up and stay in touch in between weeks, we have a lot of articles up at our website, and we're going to be growing that site at getrealwitheddie.com, and that's EDDIE. We don't spell it like a kids cartoon show. So it's IE at the end there. So getrealwitheddie.com. And a lot of our articles get posted there every day. So you can check in, see what's going on real estate. And we're going to be expanding that site and expanding that page as we move forward here. And this is going to be a great time. I'm really looking forward to this.
It's going to be good. And I know that you are talking about bringing different people in.
Yes. So I'd love to see some other individuals come into the show, and I'd like to see some of our elected officials come in. I'd love to get somebody to come in and talk about an article that I just saw. Maybe we'll do that in 2 or 3 weeks. See if I can get somebody set up on what decides or how you decide what business is coming in. How much control does the municipality have on deciding who gets to open a business and what type of business? Because I think the public need to know that. I see a lot of comments online about that aspect in the commercial side.
And also, I think Eddie would encourage, if you're listening and you're like, gosh, I've always wondered about this, whatever that might be for real estate, contact him, because we would be happy to talk about that.
Absolutely. We're looking for more subjects and more topics. So go to getrealwitheddie.com and send me a message. Hey, I'd love to hear you guys talk about this on air. I'd love to hear you talk about that. It would be really, really cool to get your guys' feedback, what you guys think, and we will get you the information as fast as possible. But tune in. We'll be here every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. And giving you all the newest and latest real estate stuff. Thank you, Terry, for, helping me kick this off.
My pleasure.
So you'll be here back next week?
Yep.
So, because if I'm correct, next week you have a birthday.
I do.
So you're going to you're not sneaking out of town for the birthday on me?
No.
Okay. I got to sneak out of town right after the next week's show, because next week we go to San Francisco for the National Association. So that's going to be a huge thing. So next week, after the show, find me on social media. I should be posting tons of different stuff of everything that's going on at the National Association. That'll be really, really fun.
I can't wait to see.
Yeah, it'll be a really, really good time. So, trying to think what else we got going on. I think that's about it. So stick around. There's going to be a lot more information coming out on the Halloween stuff. I'm sure that we talked about, and Shorewood moving their times and dates, and other times and dates getting moved around with Halloween. And this lovely snow we're supposed to be getting more of. I'm a big fan of the snow, but not before Halloween.
No.
So stick around for ABC News. It's coming up right now.